Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my humble little casa, my humble home in Livingston, Montana. Okay, today's date is Monday, the 8th of February of 2021. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be telling you one of my bizarre little stories like I do. This isn't exactly a childhood story. This happened right after I got out of the service. I ETS from the service. That's a lapse time of service. That's when you get out. And I remember that all too well. It was the 5th of December of 1973 is when I finally got away from Uncle Sam. Well, anyway, in the spring months of 74, just a few months later, the early months, summer months of 74, my family had a first cousin. He was a first cousin to me that come and stayed with various members of our family. I don't think he was getting along with his parents all that well, and he came up to Montana to kind of get a new start on life, or so to speak. But I'm telling you, this kid here, he spent most of his time growing up in Texas. Now, I ain't got nothing to do anything against people that live in Texas or I'm not trying to compare Texas to Montana or anything like that. But there is a stark difference, mainly in the terrain, the mountains, the temperature, the weather, and all that other stuff. There is a stark difference between Montana and Texas. I know that for a fact. And this guy was a true greenhorn. I mean, when it come to getting himself probably half goofed up in the woods, or so to speak, he was a fair candidate for the job. But anyway, this dude, this first cousin of mine, was 2 years younger than me. He was actually the same age as my brother Nick, and he probably did more palling around with my brother Nick than he did me. Well, okay. This one in particular night, a Friday night, knowing me, actually it could have been any night of the week, to tell you the truth of the matter, I was sitting in a place in Polson, Montana called the Smoke House. It was a real famous bar right there in the middle of Main Street. It was an Indian and cowboy bar. Now, I'm not trying to be racial here. I'm just reporting what the deal was. Basically, the way that place was, for the most part, the cowboys and Indians drank upstairs. It was an upstairs and downstairs bar, and the downstairs part is where they used to have rock and roll bands, and the owners of the smokehouse put kind of a differentiation, I guess that's the word, I hope I got it right, between, say, the rednecks, meaning the Indians and the cowboys and stuff, and the people that hung out in the lower part of the bar were kind of hippies and, people that were of that flavor, Personally, myself, I drank upstairs, downstairs. It didn't make any difference where the hell I drank. It's just that they had anytime they had live bands in the smokehouse, they were downstairs, and naturally, I wanted to be down there, because the girl... Excuse me, I screwed up there. The girl watching was a lot better. Anyway, I'm sitting down there this one particular spring day's night. It was evening. I remember that all too well. Matter of fact, it was about 8, 9 o'clock at night, if I remember right, which I do. And I'm sitting there kind of at the end of the bar, just kicking back, enjoying myself, sucking one or two down and everything, And pretty soon here comes this goopy cousin of mine. I could see him coming down the stairs and kind of walking along the bar and headed over my way, So pretty soon he plunked down beside me, and I says, and I don't want to say his name or anything like that because, I'm starting to get into a situation with my family where some of my family members are getting ticked off that I'm telling these stories. Even though 99.9% of the people out there in Cyberland don't even know who the hell I'm talking about. 99.9% of the people don't even know who I am. And my weird storytelling. I got some weird relatives, let me tell you. Real weird. But anyway, this second cousin of mine, 2 years younger than me, that's all you need to know. And he plops down beside me, and we start making small talk, And he starts talking to me. He says, Jim, he says, remember you were telling me about those high mountain lakes that are where they, and he started pointing and using descriptors on a conversation that we had before, and I go, oh yeah, that's you got Mud Lake 1, Mud Lake 2, and I was describing this particular area that I'd been telling him about that'd be really nice for one day, maybe go take a camping trip up there, take 2 or 3 days, put on the old packs and go up there, go fishing and stuff. There was some fairly good lakes up there. Well, the mud lakes were good, and there was a place called Cedar Lake and all this stuff. But we're talking 3 to 4 to 5 hours of busting ass to get up on top of that Continental Divide to enjoy what I'm trying to describe to you. Well, anyway, this cousin of mine is sitting there picking my brains, and we're talking about this area up there. And he goes, man, Jim, he says, this is where things start going south with me. He goes, man, Jim, he says, I'd really like to ask you a favor. Since I don't know this area very good, and you do, I would kind of need your help, but I've got a really good idea for something for us to do, for we to do. See, anytime you get into a situation like that, make sure you cut the we part out of it. I've learned the hard way that's the best thing that you can do in a situation like this. But he goes, he says, I've got an idea there, Jim. He says, I have had the longest earning for the longest time, an earning, a desire. He says, what I really want to do is I want to expand my spiritual life. And I'm on the bar by now like this, and I go, barkeep, give me another one here. I think I'm going to need it, So my cousin's sitting here, he's wanting to expand his spiritual life, and I looked at him and I said, well, what has that got to do with anything we've been talking about? He says, well, this is the plan I've got there, Jim. He says, now what I can do here is I'd like to score about, say 4 to 6 tabs of acid, LSD, all that stuff. And he looked at me and said, you know what I'm talking about, Jim. You know. I said, I know about magic mushrooms and psilocybin and LSD and peyote and what was some of that other stuff? Mescaline. And I said, yeah, I know what psychedelics are. And he said, well, what? I got some kind of, I don't know why that doggone thing gets fuzzy like that, but he goes, out of focus. Let me get my words right. He goes, well, he says, what I'd like to be able to do is pack some acid, and I need you to guide me up to these places because I want to have a religious experience. We could build us a nice bonfire and everything, and we can sit around and we can drop this acid and we can go to heaven. That's about what this clown was saying. And here again, I'm like, and I'm sure the snarl on my face got a little bit bigger, and, I'm pretty sure I was, barkeep, another one, that kind of stuff, And I said, let me get this straight. You want to go up on that one blankety-blank trail, because I told him it was rougher than a cob up there. I said, you want to go up there, because he was really pushing to kind of go up that night. And I told him, I said, you want me to stagger you around in the middle of the night up there on them high mountain lakes and everything while me and you are buzzed up on acid? Is that and dancing around the campfire like a bunch of wild heathens or something like this? Is this what is this the plan here? He goes, oh yeah, Jim. He says, man, I could just imagine, me getting into all kinds of spiritual revelations, and he was going on and on. And I says, cousin, of course I called him by name. I said, this is what's going to happen to you, fool. I said, all that's going to happen to you is you're going to go up there and you're going to die. because this particular trail, there was all kinds of cliffs around and everything, and you didn't want to get off the trail too awful far. You just walk off of a 500-foot cliff. And I told him, I said, you want us to be up there all stoned on acid, walking around on these kind of trails like this? I said, anything can happen up there. It could snow up there. We could meet Mr. Grizzly Bear. I said, I tell you what, pal. I said, this is what's going to go on here. I says, under these circumstances, with the bears and the wildlife up there, the mountain lions, trails that you're unfamiliar with and all that, I said, you're going to have the biggest experience, you're going to have the biggest religious experience of your entire life. You're going to die. And that's all that's going to happen here. But I'll make sure, because you're going to have to pull this off by yourself, because dying ain't on my agenda. We're going to have to get another lineup. We're going to have to get another lineup of activities there. I got to bow out of this. So your idea is all well and good and everything, but the timing's wrong. You don't do stuff like this in the middle of the night. You're going to get yourself killed and all this and stuff, and he's sitting there like this. Like I took a sucker away from him or something like that. I told him he was a damn fool, man. You don't go... Really, seriously, this is probably not very funny what I just told you, but this actually did happen, But the simple fact of the matter is, I don't care. I know a lot of people use psychedelics. I realize a lot of people smoke weed and do all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to Mother Nature, and when it comes to playing in her background, you better keep your head wired on tight. It's as simple as that. I've been an outdoorsman for 50 years. You start doing stupid things and you're going to pay. And I just absolutely refused. After I listened to my cousin all the way out and everything, I told him, nope. I told him where to go. I said, you want to go, you can go by yourself. Because personally, myself, I don't need that much of a spiritual revelation here. Okay, what do I got here? 12 ridiculous minutes. I got to get going. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Go have a religious experience, but go do it the right way, I'm thinking, We shall see you on down the trail, and adios, my friends.